Hello, and welcome to the Tuesday, February 17th Village Council meeting. Judy, if you could call the roll.
Yes, DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Shu. Here. Brown. Here. Samari.
Here.
Pierce. Here. Also present, Assistant Village Manager Elise Giardulo, Village Manager Johnny Burns, and Solicitor Amy Blankenship.
Great, thank you. So the first thing up is swearings in, and
Just Lexi.
yeah, just Lexi. Okay, cool. Well, Lexi Kipp, ready to swear in? Okay. Does she have one?
Yes.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Okay. Ready to repeat after me?
I'm ready.
Okay. I solemnly swear or affirm
I solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs,
and ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs,
and will faithfully discharge the duties of
and will faithfully discharge the duties of
the Office of Environmental Commission.
the Office of Environmental Commission.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Congratulations for helping us. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Hold on this.
Oh, we need to sign or not?
Sign.
Okay,
Just-
sign.
If you sign, we'll do the rest later.
Absolutely.
And no Stephen, so we'll do that one
Yep.
next time. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Thanks,
Thank
Lexi.
you, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is announcements. Are there any announcements? I think we might set a new record. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We can do them in one pass if there's a motion to do both of them.
Make a motion to do both of them.
So you're making a motion to approve the consent agenda? Yes. Yes, indeed. Excellent. Second.
Great. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Next up is review of the agenda. Are there any questions or changes for the agenda?
Angie, you had brought something up. Do you want to move citizens' concerns right after, right before public hearings and legislation?
I thought about it, but because it's already in here, I was concerned if somebody came in and wanted to participate, that,
Sure enough.
yeah, they'd lose their chance. So in the future, I know we're planning on moving it anyways.
This is a decent time for a quick PSA, just there is expected to be a change where citizen concerns will go before hearings and legislation. It'll probably happen in 2 meetings, not the next one, but the meeting after that, because we're going to hear the rules this time and then a second reading next time, and then it's actually in the rules, that order change, so
So
good.
a month after that?
A month after that. Cool. Oh, a month after that when it goes into effect. Okay, sorry, then I'm wrong. And a month after 2 meetings from now. Right?
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. All right. Okay, so any other agenda? All right, next is petitions and communications. Angie, do you mind reading those?
Molly Lundy regarding unsafe structures in business district. Mayor's clerk regarding mayor's monthly report 2. Ann Randolph regarding thanks for opening Short Street. Council clerk regarding board and commission updated document. Marcia Walgren regarding how motions and votes should work.
Okay. Next up is public hearings and legislation. If, Judy, if you could read the first reading of ordinance 2026-04 by title only.
This is repealing Chapter 220.01, Rules and Procedures of the Codified Ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs, Ohio, and enacting new Chapter 220.01, Rules and Procedures.
Great, thank you. So there's a memo in our packets about it. Oh, sorry, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Great, thank you. there's a memo in our packets about this, and Judy, do you want to frame it at all, or?
Well, so this is done, each time that there's a new council, you just review these to make sure that it's either in keeping with what it is how you wish to hold your meetings, or that it is not. And as you can see, there have been red lines, the document's been redlined based on suggestions that folks have made, and also some best practices. So that is what is before you, is to consider what to change in this document.
Great. So the last time we did this, we did like page 1, page 2, like in order. I think that worked out pretty good, so we'll do that again if that's okay. So page 1 is the one that says Exhibit A to Ordinance 2026-04. There's quite a bit of redlining on this one because of the taking out of the complaints section and then some cleaning up of the values language. So any questions or comments about things on page 1? Okay. Next one, page 2, more minor changes on this one, just to the work sessions kind of cleanup language. Any questions about page 2? Okay. Oh, and the endeavoring to end earlier, which I like the endeavoring. Okay, page 3. I think just the change with the citizen concerns that we mentioned going before public hearings, and then adding in another link around the Robert's Rules guidelines. Any questions about page 3? Okay, page 4. I think this is mostly kind of word choice cleanup stuff. Yeah, anything on page 4? All right. Page 5, the last page, just taking out the last line about time periods. Anything else there? Okay. Well, it seems like we're all good. Any other comments before we move on? Okay, so we don't need to take a vote, right?
You don't need to.
Okay, let's keep it moving then. All right, the next thing up is, Judy, if you could read Resolution 2026-06 by title only, please.
This is approving dues for Regional Planning and Coordinating Commission of Greene County for 2026.
Johnny, is there anything you want to say about this, or just we pay dues?
We pay dues to be a part of it, and it
Oh.
happens every year.
I got to get a motion. Sorry. Can I get a motion? That's my bad.
So moved.
Okay. Okay, now what he said.
Sorry, you caught me off guard. This is a council decision to pay the dues annually
Yeah.
to be a part of the club.
Cool. Does anybody have any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. We're still in the club. Judy, if you could read Resolution 2026-07 by title only, please.
This is designating Judy Kintner as Village Council's designee to receive public records training on behalf of each of the elected officials pursuant to and in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 109.43B and, 149.43E1.
Thank you. Could I get a motion?
Second.
Great. Judy had a memo in the packet, but anything you want to add, Judy? Or
Really-
reiterate?
Just this really saves me from having to root through a lot of different files when the auditor asks for proof that all the elected officials received the training. Because all new officials always take the training. Most returning take it again, but if a returning official should not take it, this also covers that situation, so.
Cool, thank you. Any questions anybody has? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. The next thing up, Judy, if you could read Resolution 2026-08 by title only, please.
This is authorizing the village manager to approve the purchase of a 2026 utility hybrid vehicle for the police department.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. Okay, I think this one is you.
This one is me.
Okay.
Paige, she's here, but they're in Axon body worn camera training downstairs. So if we need to call her, I can get her out, but I think we can get this one done. This is to replace vehicle 112. This was originally budgeted for $85,000. We had talked about doing a full electric. The full electric has not, I'm sorry, this is to 110, I believe is what it was. No, I'm sorry, 110 is the hybrid, which is what this one would be. 112 is the one replacing. We was going to do a full electric. It would cost a lot more infrastructure-wise here at the Bryant Center. The technology is not there for the police package yet, so everything's a one-off. It took Oakwood over a year to get theirs because there was specific parts and pieces to be able to make it happen. The hybrid that we have, Unit 110, is a 2021 model. It has had the best system so far. We've only had one warranty issue with it. It was just last year, just a couple months ago, actually. It was a battery issue. They fixed it under warranty. The hybrid actually has like 1,800 less parts than the combustion engine, so there is proving itself to last longer. And so the state bid is for the hybrid model like we have already, and we will be using some of the internal parts from Unit 112 to outfit it, so the upfit was not as much. So that is what we're looking for. Paige wrote a memo, and she's having ongoing issues with 112. She's having issues with some other ones, and at the time of her memo, actually the hybrid was down and it was in shop. So she was down to one car. Actually, it was the truck at the time, her Durango. Battery was bad. It was dead. They had to be towed in. Unit 113's battery blew up or expanded, and Unit 112, the radiator went out, and the COS position car has now got a stop sign for a floorboard. So we have parked it in case of an emergency, but right now they're using Paige's vehicle to try to help that out as well. So
wait, are we still down to one or no?
we originally, we are not down to one. We actually had the other ones repaired right now.
Okay.
But
So we're up to how many now that are working?
3.
Okay.
One's still in the repair shop, but we are, this one hopefully will get here soon enough to where we can decommission 112 that is beyond its lifetime. It won't even go into the staff car. We're actually looking at doing something different with this COS position, but we had originally, Paige had brought 2 vehicles to try to get caught back up because was it 5 years ago, there was money diverted from a vehicle to another line, which put everything a year behind, and we're still playing catch up. And she had an ongoing rotation, even though there's, she tries, her schedule is they have a long week and a short week, and so they assign the vehicle to a person or to a team. That way, when that person is not on duty, that one can be scheduled for maintenance. So literally, there's more than likely 3 cars going at the same time because you got 3 different shifts. So,
And what's the, I just didn't follow, like, what's the ideal goal of how many cars are up and running and fully functional? and running?
5 is ideally,
5.
and that's without Paige's. So, and Paige, we're outfitting hers with some used stuff to where, if necessary, she can run hers as well.
Okay, so 6 in total, and right now we're at 3.
3. And we have 3 out at the farm. If anybody wants to buy them, they'll be on Gov Deals pretty fast. You'll need to trailer them away. So
Johnny, I couldn't find the replacement cycle for the cruisers, or what it's planned on being going forward.
it's normally been 3 to 4 years. The one that we are replacing now is on its 5th year.
So
With the-
these hybrid models,
The hybrids are lasting a lot longer. So we have 2 hybrids now. We have a truck and we have the SUV. This will be the 3rd hybrid, but anything we move forward, we'll be getting a hybrid, which then moves out the replacement from 3 to 5 years.
Okay. So the hybrid is the 5-year
Correct.
cycle, okay.
Any other questions?
Well, so this language is still correct then, because this, the resolution says we only have one reliable cruiser, and we're establishing that that's not necessarily the case.
We can change the resolution. We have got the other ones. It'd be nice if we had all 5 or 6 brand new ones, but we don't. But we can change the resolution to say we have 3
I
that
think
are reliable.
you can just take that entirely out of there. And
Yeah.
just say it was approved during the last budget process, cut the rest.
Do we need a motion to make that change, or can we just do it?
Oh, sure, let's have a motion
Okay.
just for jollies.
So Stephanie, do you want to make that motion?
Yeah. A motion to change the language. Yeah.
Motion to waive the whereas that includes the number of vehicles?
Well, we're omitting language that follows the year 2025 in the first whereas,
Okay.
which no one needs to know but me, but I got it.
Got it. I'll second that. Any questions on that? So all those in favor of that change, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so now, looking at the whole thing, any other, and Stephanie, if you had other questions, we cleaned that one up, but anybody have any other questions?
I guess you're saying that 5 is ideal, is like, what would it take us to get to 5? Is that
Another one.
just
We would need
replacing another vehicle
we would need
in the
another
near
vehicle.
future?
In 27.
Okay.
I think in the capital budget, when we talked about the budget in the end of '25, when we did 3-year projections, obviously we only approved the one this year, but we didn't approve it officially,
Correct.
but it's like, this was
Just
talked
noted
about
it.
some, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's in the column.
Correct. That's in 27. Correct.
If we were to get to a fleet of fully, hybrid police force, are there any, and this is ignorance, I don't know, are there any grant-eligible programs? I feel like I've heard something like in some,
I cannot actually answer that. Paige would be the one to answer,
Yeah,
but I
I
can tell you
assume
that if there's a grant out there,
And-
she has already found it.
for sure, and really it's towards next year,
Correct.
because this one was allocated for the 85.
Correct.
But moving into next year's, unless I didn't see it, there's no allocated 85 for next year.
Correct.
So that's, trying to get ahead of that if this is coming back into the pipeline, but we'll figure that out. I just wanted to check.
And so just to be clear, we budgeted 85, the total price that's listed is 67.
67,576.
And so you're expecting that there'll be effectively a savings of that much?
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is, Judy, if you could read Resolution 2026-09 by title only, please.
This is approving 2026 expenditures for America 250 events as appropriated in the Village of Yellow Springs 2026 budget.
Can I get a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Great. I don't know, Carmen, I know you sent some information around, or is there anybody on staff that is somebody on point on this one?
I can just say that this is to allocate the funds to where we can spend them as Carmen asked us.
Yeah, so it's appropriated already, and this just gives us, this is housekeeping, which I stated in the email, to start to spend the money that's already been allocated.
Okay, any other questions?
In your email, you said there was an event on the 27th?
There is.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there, like, public information about that already?
It
Or-
will be in the newspaper, it will be on our website. I'm going to put it on Facebook, and we have flyers that are coming, and it's also in the Quaker Newsy.
Sorry,
And I'll bring-
do you
and
know
I'll-
the
I'll make
date
a
and
memo.
time, or is it?
Yeah, I do. It's actually the 27th, and it's at the Senior Center. It's Dr. Jane Calvert. She's a historian and nationally known scholar who studied John Dickinson, the most Yellow Springs of the Founding Fathers. He was Quaker adjacent, and he thought that we could gain American rights without going to war. Yeah, that's that.
Nice.
And there's more, I mean, I have others, but this, we can do this, then I can give you information on the other stuff in the little PACC talk about thing I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I will just note that I talked to Amy about this briefly. One of the questions that comes up is like, if we could do, in the future, one idea that maybe we'll explore at some point is basically doing like one like appropriations thing, like right after the budget to cover all of the things like this that are,
Ideally, that's how it,
so just noting that
Happens.
it's a
that's how
future
it usually happens.
thing. So it's not, we're not suggesting changing that today, but just as something to maybe consider.
It's already noted.
Yeah. Any other questions about
It will
this
come in October.
resolution? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. I think that's all on public hearings and legislation, so we're on to citizen concerns. Now I'm going to read from my little paper. And then we are going to write this down, so I don't have to read it every time. But we were trying it out to make sure that this little paper was accurate. So this is the time for citizen input on anything you'd like to share for consideration. If you are commenting on an item on the agenda with a public hearing, we'll take your comments there. Please try not to repeat previous comments. If something has already been shared, you can note your agreement. If I'll ask you to move on if a topic has already been covered at length, just for the sake of time. We want to give you the best answer, and it can be hard to communicate on the fly, so don't expect a response here. And then at the end of the citizens' concerns, if there are clear, simple answers or information we can share, we'll do that, as well as identify any follow-ups that are needed. So that's our little spiel that came out of our retreat. And so now we're at citizen concerns. So if anybody has any citizen concerns, now go ahead.
Hi, I'm Relita Hildebrand, village resident, and I'm going to go quickly because I've got a lot to cover. So first of all, I want to thank the Chappelle family for what they've done for the Jones Schoolhouse and for also the fundraiser that was held last Friday with John Stewart at the Schuster Center. It was really amazing, and if you were in attendance, you know that message was so positive and inspiring, and so I just want to publicly thank the Chappelles for doing all they're doing for WYSO and for us as a community. I also want to bring up Robert's Rules of Order again. I think you got a letter from Marsha Walgren today about the procedures from last meeting. I think Robert's Rules of Order is an excellent tool to use as a legislative body, and I hope that you will consider it in the future. It definitely takes away some of the confusion and makes it fair when it comes to providing input and actually solicits input from every member. And then I have some input for the goals. So the first thing I want to say is, even though there was a lot of discussion about what's the day-to-day As far as the village council is concerned, I think that you should have something in your goals about core services because it's important for those to get done and not be lost in the sauce. And I know you talked about that, but there's the kind of bright, shiny thing, and then there's the everyday thing. And the everyday thing has to get done, and if you lose sight of the everyday thing, the bright, shiny thing is not going to matter, in my opinion. So the communication plans, I just want to give a big shout out to Stephanie. I love what you're doing as far as communicating through your Facebook site and through making yourself accessible. I know that's not possible for everybody, depending on what your time constraints are, but I think that's really a positive thing for the community. I think having work sessions is also an amazing thing that you're doing. It definitely increases transparency. I've got to go quickly. Town halls, please don't wait until there's a crisis to have a town hall. I know you talked about not having them regularly. There is a predictable method of communicating to the public, and that is through this meeting. We always have the YS News here. It's available on YouTube. It's not like there's not predictability with your communications. The problem is people don't watch them. They do show up for town halls, though, and this is going to be something that I want to hammer on before I lose my time, is that electricity is real. The problems are real. Johnny has talked about it. Now is the time to have a town hall meeting and explain why the charges are so high. Explain why the village is able to become and stay a village and not get rolled up like Clifton did, right? We're able to do that because of our village status and because we have and provide the services that we do. So let everyone know that, and let everybody know about the 5-year escalation plan. Get in front of it, don't get behind it, because that's what we need to do. And then finally, I have a lot more, but I'll put it in a letter. Finally, I ask if you could do a resolution about no data centers in Yellow Springs. Nothing. Crickets, haven't heard a single thing back on that. The same thing is true for Greene County. You can use your positions as you interact with Greene County to please ask for the same. This is the only way we're going to fight higher hidden utility costs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other citizen concerns?
Hello, my name's Mitzi Miller, and I'm a resident here in Yellow Springs. I'm addressing school signage. So appropriate school signage is critical for enhancing safety. It helps create a clear structure for navigating our schools' traffic routes. The right signage can ensure that everyone knows where to go, what to do, and how to stay safe. As a village, we owe the citizens, our seniors, those with disabilities, and families and children a safe environment for travel and parking. I've asked our village staff and school district to reach out to me so I can take them on a safety evaluation that I did of our school streets and to address my concerns on street signage. While I have not been able to meet with the village manager or assistant or the school superintendent yet, I still feel very strongly about that. While I'm aware they prefer waiting until school construction has been completed, that we only have 3.5 months left of school, and our village is applying for grants to address signage and sidewalks, I believe with some additional signage and changes, we can make it much safer for our students and families now. This would include adding signage and flashing stoplights on Elm Street and Walnut, addressing crosswalk signage, no parking signage near the new bus stops on Elm, additional police presence on our drop-off sites. And I just heard from a parent, which was very insightful, that there's an officer that is coming in the morning and is parking on Elm Street and then is out near the crosswalks. So that was nice to hear. The other thing we need to address is no left turn signals since Short Street has been opened up. And the issue there would be, we've heard from the school district, they're telling their parents, no left turns from Short Street onto Walnut, no left turns from Walnut onto Short Street, no left turns from Walnut Street to Limestone, and no left turns from Walnut to Elm Street. I'm encouraging our village to have signage in those areas, even if it's temporary, not flashing lights, but a signage now for the safety of our families and children. It's time our school district makes a formal request to the Village of Yellow Springs for temporary and later permanent signage. This way, the Village Council can move forward on their requests and concerns. Hopefully, then our village manager and school district can work together on signage that provides safe environments around our schools and for our families and students sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other citizen concerns?
Hi, my name's Riley. I work for the newspaper here in town. Two questions, I guess, and I know I'm not owed a response necessarily. Super interested in hearing about the changes to the community outreach specialist program that Johnny insinuated earlier. Like, that sounds, you said some changes were coming to the COS program, and in the context of the cruiser conversation, and yeah, I'd love to hear more about what those would be, and if any. And also, when you were talking about the rules and procedures ordinance, I know it's going to come back at the next council meeting on the 2nd, so I don't know if it could be brought up then, but with complaints against council members being stricken from the ordinance as it is now, how will that work, I guess? Is that going to come back as a separate ordinance, or is that going to come up as a separate piece of legislation, or is it somehow going to be embedded with different language in the ordinance? Because I understand Carmen's complaint or concern last meeting was like inside investigations, and like, yeah, personally I agree. So I guess what were the results of the conversation that you had with our solicitor, other than it being stricken from the ordinance? So that's all. Thanks.
Thanks, Riley. Any other questions, or sorry, not questions, but any other citizen concerns? Okay, I'm going to take my first stab at answering one quick question that I think we can answer, which is that that part of the rules was taken out because essentially, tell me if I say this wrong, but council sort of has to police itself realistically. We're not employees, so we can't use the, what's it called?
HR.
The HR process. And so it'll be on a case-by-case basis is basically the functional reality. I think that's the one that I can clearly answer right now. So we're trying to figure out how to say the things we can actually answer and not get into everything that we're not sure of right on the moment, so bear with us. I think that's all. We'll move on to special reports. So we don't have any though, so we're going to move on to manager's report. And John, you're up.
Okay, first one is Lisa and I will be in Sharonville February 25th to the 27th for the OCMA for manager conference. The Grapevine, Lisa, have we got any update on that one?
It has started to hit mailboxes today.
Okay, so we mailed that out like 2 weeks ago, and they was lost in the postal service somewhere. Could be the 13 inches of snow, but we're not blaming it. But if you did not get one, hopefully you'll get it this coming week. Now let's go to the sad news. Sad news is Brad Alt has accepted a job in another municipality and is leaving us after 19 years. New council members, if you remember on the tour, standing on the deck, I said, this is one dude we don't want to lose. We lost him. It was nothing to do with us. He did give some context to why he's leaving, and he can go make a better living, managing one plant and managing two different plants in 2025 compared to what it was in 2015 is a huge stress. We actually was on a meeting today. Kevin Martin is the interim now. He has actually got the license to be able to hold the plant and the water plant on the village. So we've transferred the paperwork and the power, the laws over to him for the water and wastewater plant. I signed them today and sent them to the Ohio EPA. But Elise and I wanted to go back to Elise and I was on a meeting today, and this is the PFAS grant that we're doing with the Ohio EPA. They hired some people to look at different, small plants and figure out how they could help across Ohio. And they're giving us a laundry list of things that they need and do. And we're just like, hey, by the way, Brad's leaving us, Kevin's taking in, and we have other things to be able to do as well. You're going to have to slow it down for us. And I stopped there for a minute and I said, I just need to point out one thing. There's more people on this grant meeting or this EPA meeting than I have in the whole Public Works. And they're just dealing with one thing. And I said, so understand everything that you're asking us, we have other jobs to do, so it'll be a little bit before we can get you that answer. So we may have to slow down on that. They're wanting to have monthly meetings, and we can't even get through and find what they need. And then they're wanting to update our filing. Well, right now it's all paper, and it's all stored at one place, and we're trying to transfer licensing and handling and processes. So, there's more to come with the Brad. We're going to get his job posted, but I think it's something we'll be speaking about in the near future. What's it look like, either with more staff there to where we can take the stress out? What's it look like if we split up the water and the wastewater plant and we had two different systems there? Because the rules are changing daily. PFAS is not going away. It's a forever chemical, and once it gets done to the water plant, then it's going to transfer to the sewer plant, and so you're going to have that added stress there. We have the lead, we have the galvanized, so what does that look like? We have now the testing that we got to do on a daily basis, so there's a lot of things, and Brad has done a tremendous job, but he will be going to wastewater, and wishing him the best, and Kevin's going to help us out temporarily until we can get the job posted. We'll post it internal and external and try to get another equal, if not better. I don't think you'll ever find anybody better than Brad, just to be honest with you, because he's literally got 18 and a half years here. He started as a temporary person mowing grass, and he's worked all the way up. He's seen everything. You're going to definitely lose the knowledge end of it because you can't document all the knowledge. We have signed up for the Center of Local Government membership, and we have one person that's getting ready to take some training for leadership in that program. Active transportation. Aaron submitted a grant. If you guys remember, you agreed to allow us to submit to update the active transportation plan. We was awarded that grant through ODOT. They will be sending us the final paperwork and everything to sign off on, and then we'll be working on trying to update that active transportation plan, which falls back into, we'll be talking to the safe routes or the active transportation. There's some issues with the grant filing that the schools and myself have talked about, so we're going to sit down and talk about what we need to submit, or do we want to wait until this new plan is developed so we know where the high priorities are and we're not just trying to fill out a grant to get a grant, So we're going to talk that through. Tom's Market. The town hall was on January 14th, about 250 members. I'm going back a ways on this one because we didn't have one for a couple. Yellow Springs will be having a town hall. The YSDC will be having a town hall on February 18th from 6 to 7 at the John Bryant's A&B. in reference to the updates for the old hardware store. So if you want to attend that, it's in rooms A and B from 6 to 7. Dayton Daily come out and did another tour, listened to us, but Riley's going to be coming out Monday so we can actually tell our real story. And so we're looking forward to Riley coming in Monday and getting the same tour that Dayton Daily News did so we can get a story out there. The COSs have a new QR code. I know you ain't got your cameras, but you go and look at here. And it takes you to some online forms. So if you want to look at that, I'm sure it's out there in different areas and different locations. Let's see here, what else is there? Axon body cameras, they're in training right now. Actually, they are going to be at the Public Works facility tomorrow. Axon will be, and they'll be outfitting all 4 cars with the new equipment, being able to change over by February 20th. Page did receive a $32,111.44 body worn camera grant that she applied for last year. She was awarded it last week, so that's good news. Again, we are looking for every grant possible, and whether you guys hear about it at the beginning, because this one again didn't meet the criteria that we had to come to council, we was able to just submit it because it's not an ongoing fund, it's a one-time thing. So we let you know when we're applying for them when it takes ongoing funds, but this one was awarded. Paige is like, man, did I submit for that one? Sure enough, we did. Elise had looked it up as well. 265 total served from the COS positions. 193 in the township were in YS, and 11 visitors. Let's see here. Chambers of Commerce is working. Aaron went and filled in for me at a meeting. They're focusing on membership growth this coming year. YSDC, we've had our meetings. They've went fairly decent the last couple meetings. Both council members have attended, getting some things done, some questions answered, and that's when they talked about having this next meeting. 22 zoning permits, 10 building permits. If you have got your gas bill, you've seen a increased demand in January as well because of the temperatures. We got ours today, and I was like, holy smokes. So Level Billing has got a note in here that they will be trued up on March 15th, whether you are owed money for a refund or if you owe us money, the March 15th bill will have the true up on it. Cedarville College visited the water plant, took samples for a class study. Riley has asked for information on water loss and stuff, and I'll be getting that to him. But I want to point out, I believe last January was 40-something% of water loss. This time was 19.05%, and that is with 3 of those explosions out of the ground that we're not allowed to say the actual name for. But I want to go back to the AFLEC, or the ALFX system that Ben's got on the hydrants now. We've got 2 major leaks, both of which was not on our service. It was on a private service. And the one, well, both of them, I don't know that either one of them would have been found if it wasn't for the monitoring system that we've got on the hydrants. And both of them was over 250,000 gallon water leak on a month. So the system is definitely paying for itself. We're catching, if not even just for us, but for the customer as well. And like I said, the customer had no idea until we was able to come in and notify them that something's wrong. And then they started looking for it, and then we found the one for them, and then we found the second one for them.
Johnny, the total water loss in January of 2025 was 39.47%,
Okay.
nearly 40%.
So that's a big, some of that could be the new technology, it could be the meters, it could be a lot of things that staff has done, the galvanized replacement on 7,200 feet of water line. But I can tell you that the staff is actively trying to find out, because if we can figure out the water loss, then the overall production of water and chemicals, and actually even the bill to the customer is less. When I first got here, we was reading water every 3 months. Now you're literally getting a phone call from the utilities. If you use 10 extra gallons at a night, or 100 extra gallons, you're literally getting it, versus waiting 3 months to tell you that you got a water leak. So, let's see here. I highlight Ben's letter. Ben thanked the crews. I also want to go back and thank, it's been a month or maybe a couple weeks. 13 inches of snow is unheard of. And I think our staff, our PD, our public works, our just overall staff did a fantastic job handling 13 inches of snow. I don't know if anybody, we'll have snow out at the farm until July, if anybody wants to have a snowball fight in July. We hauled 300 plus dump truck loads of snow out of downtown. If you look at the basketball court out here, that is just to be able to keep this parking lot flowing. This is the extra snow. It'll be out there until probably June. But 300 plus dump truck loads didn't go out. If it wasn't for the staff, we would still be dealing with 7-foot snow in the downtown area. So I want to thank all of them as well. They did a fantastic job. The cattle gate that you see, I want to highlight that. This is the change out of the farm. That is actually where we dump the mud truck. And Ben pointed it out as a safety hazard. I had not even thought about it, but we actually have trespassers on our property. They just decide they're going to go walk in the glens, and somehow they're on the farm. But if somebody was to step in that, they're 7-8 feet deep. So I appreciate Ben and the team bringing it to our attention that, hey, we need to put a cattle fence or something around there. So that's what that picture is there, in case anybody's wanting to know. Let's see here. Tanner and his guys did a fantastic job getting the short street back open and moving some benches to some broken down areas. They've received 90 tons. We just had to order another 50 tons of salt because of using so much during the big events. I did read somewhere, somebody from Yellow Springs got like first place in a chess competition.
Xander, yeah.
Yes. So kudos. I love chess, but I would not want to play him again. So 1,780 have downloaded the YS Connect app, so I think we're killing it on communications, but we can do better, that's for sure. And look for your Springs edition of the Grapevine. Coming soon, hopefully.
Great, thanks,
Any
John.
questions?
Yeah, questions from anybody? Well, I have a couple of maybe more comments and then
Okay.
one kind of question. So definitely thank you to Brad for his service. I also want to say that I think he might have the mustache to beat.
I think he does.
I'm never going to beat him. I know that.
I'm not going to beat him either.
But
Yes, you're absolutely
impressive. Okay. The next thing, it sounds like I was going to ask a question about the water costs and sort of what the answers were, because it was like the Dayton Daily News article didn't really go much more in depth. So it sounds like you're going to work on that, and so I'll just wait and get.
We have put our faith into Riley.
Cool.
Riley's going to correct the story.
Okay. So we'll hear more about it. And then just, a second on the snow. I assume
Yes.
everybody else, my wife works in Dayton, and, there are many places that were shut down for much longer. for many, many reasons, but I hope that we have a sense of appreciation for just how quickly and how, how much support we get to make our community run. So just echoing Ben's thanks. Any other questions or comments? All right. The next thing up is moving on to old business. So if you weren't here before, we're kind of now picking up at where we left off on the work session, which was on village goals. So now we're going to spend
45 minutes?
5 minutes?
Yeah, let's try to get it in 45. We're a little ahead of time, so if we needed 10 more minutes now, I think we could still be on time. If we don't need to have a whole other meeting, then let's finish it here. And then, so just so folks know, around about 45 minutes from now, we'll go to new business and then finish with boards and commissions and future agenda. So, go forth, Elise.
Okay. Okay. Cool, Judy, if you can let us know when we're start to approach 7:45 or so?
Sure.
Okay. All right, picking up where we left off. So, theme number 3, municipal infrastructure, utilities, and public spaces. So we've got 5 goals under this that were adopted in 2025. So starting with the first one, create plan to resolve status and future of existing municipal broadband utility. And I think to start this, we probably need to have the village manager just give some context and maybe some historical, especially for our new council members, on just where this has been and where it is now.
Of course, and I just put a
Oh, sorry.
jelly wrench in my mouth, but fall of 26, Ultra Fiber will be here, and they will be going through the community, installing fiber on the poles to where that is a service that they'll be offering. Right now, we are just maintaining what we have. If somebody in the downtown area is in need of fiber and there's already equipment there to where all Dan's got to do is hook it up, we're doing that as a case-by-case basis. But right now, we're not hooking up any new residential because we're really trying to get out of the business of residential fiber.
Sounds like the status is resolved.
Yes, Ultra Fiber will
Be here.
be here in fall of 2026.
So, just to be clear, are you saying that in approximately, whenever that happens, then the assumption is that at that point, people would have access to Ultra Fiber, they would have access to the other internet providers that are available, at which point
Yes.
we would be moving out of the,
That would be a.
No longer be
plan.
one of our utilities.
yeah.
Correct. That would be a plan.
So for whatever it's worth, this seems to me like it's in the sort of ongoing category in that way, that it's like this is just part of work as opposed to like it needs to be elevated to a goal.
But yeah, so we're creating a plan to resolve the status and future existing municipal broadband utility. After Ultra Fiber takes over, it's not going to be a municipal utility. Right? So it
will be
no
until we
longer,
can-
it will, yeah.
Until we can get rid of it or get them transferred over to Ultra Fiber.
We'll have to decide what, but I guess it feels like it's a staff thing, not a council goal.
Yes.
Anybody? Okay.
Cool, okay. Develop long-term funding plan to continue focus on improvements in utility infrastructure.
Ongoing, not necessary.
Not necessary? Okay.
I'm just gonna, just for pace, so just
Yeah.
obviously jump in if
Let's
you
knock it out. Thank
disagree.
you.
Okay.
Please,
Update
thank
the village's capital improvement plan to align with identified infrastructure needs and project priorities.
Ongoing,
Review the village's sidewalk policy to ensure it remains practical and effective.
I would love to give it back to the homeowners and make it their responsibility to maintain their sidewalks versus us spending the money to maintain them. This is the way it's done in other communities. Not saying that we can't go in and inspect them and tell them that they need to be fixed or assess the property tax if we need to, but in my town or any other town, if there's a hazard to the sidewalk, it is the homeowner's responsibility to fix it. If you do not fix it, they will kindly fix it for you and assess the taxes. We have spent, since 2018, roughly $50,000 a year, just fixing, putting in sidewalks that are missing. Mitzi can tell you, we have done a lot of them, and we still have a lot to do. But what we ground down in 18 is already raised up again. So we're actually having a sidewalk assessment done, I believe it's the first week in March. Tanner told me that they're gonna walk the entire village again. We'll get the little book that they got to where to be you can grind it again, or you can't grind it, it's gotta be replaced. So there'll be more coming. But I really think if we're going to focus on sidewalks, it should be in the downtown area or the sidewalks that we own. And right now, when I say we own, it's because we own them all. And we need to be able to, we have a lot of curbing that's got to be replaced. I think we've done a lot of improvements to the sidewalks. We have some that we're still slated to fix or repair this year, but I think it should be this council's goal to pass the torch back over to the homeowners.
Thoughts?
How are you all feeling about that?
I like that in particular. I don't know. I feel like we should have more discussion around that. That becomes an additional affordability factor, right off the bat. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think there's more to it than just,
Yeah, no, I think it's
Yeah.
like, it's actually very not like insightful to know where you stand. Like, so we could,
Yeah.
like so knowing that that is something that you would like to see gives us at least a level of insight into the conversation, right?
Correct.
We could- So this is kind of the first.
You don't have to decide anything except that you do or do not want to review it.
Oh, for
I think the
sure. Right.
review is useful.
Correct.
Even if you determine that, oh yeah, we actually want to maintain those, because when that started out of the gate, it was always an unfunded mandate, basically.
Yes.
so I guess we want to keep that.
in there.
Sounds like keep it, okay?
Okay. Support the update of the active transportation plan to improve safe, equitable, and sustainable mobility in the village.
I think that's ongoing, and it's obviously happening, so
Remove?
take it out, yeah.
Okay. Proposed additions.
We already talked about that
Yeah.
first one, so we can,
I thought that was a good one. I think we keep that in, I think that was where, yeah, we're gonna keep that one, right? Angie's main goal there.
oh, I thought that one was the one related to Sinai that was going to
think-
move into the comps plan.
Yeah, I think it was,
Oh, I
it was,
see.
it was more just the addressing of the issues than the actual issue
Okay.
itself.
Okay. Okay. Revisit existing parking plans. Stephanie, I'm thinking this is in reference to the ones that we saw at the last council meeting, right? With Short Street, past ones. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and if there's other ones, yeah.
Are there other ones? I
Yeah.
think those are it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. So I guess appetite from council to revisit those plans.
Very much so.
This is totally not to pick on this issue, but my brain gets like, I get a little nervous of like prioritization and how many things. So would definitely like to revisit it, and when we get to the like capacity kind of check stuff, like which things happen in what order is, but I'm totally game to keep it in, but just using this as the first time to mention that at some point, there are a lot of things we want to do, and we may have to, we're going to have to grab it.
Prioritize.
Sounds like hearing nothing against. Keep it, cool.
Okay. Address bicycle safety education gaps and related initiatives. This was also Stephanie.
And I guess that could, as, you know, I see how we're kind of cutting and organizing things, that might be something better, you know, I guess talked about in like a committee type of thing, like I'm in the active transportation, you know, like that's something to maybe bring up there and gauge desire to focus on and more in that kind of capacity.
So does that mean we leave it in? Or, I mean, you'll be the person, you're the active transportation person.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll check in, obviously, with you.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, yeah, I can shift that, you know.
Maybe take it
I
out
don't
of
have
here
to
and
let
then do
that
it active
go. Yeah.
transportation?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Assess and address maintenance and improvement needs of existing public spaces. Stephanie.
Yeah, I think that, you know, one thing this whole, you know, Short Street community space did was, you know, bring a lot of opinions and passion about where, you know, public spaces and things like that. So I think that, you know, that it's worth looking into, you know, just how we can improve the spaces that are out there. It's just, yeah.
I think we can pop that with mine.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
it's-
you all had similar things, right?
Yeah, and just pop
Yeah.
them together.
And is that, to that end, like the idea of that could be an
Pop them
easy
together,
thing?
totally.
Yeah,
So I think
absolutely.
that one of the
Yeah.
things that's, you know, we have really, really good examples from other municipalities of just like Springfield, Xenia, you know, Cedarville even. We have other models that we can look at that are working other places. It's not critical that we like reinvent the wheel. We have capacity. I think the EC will have capacity to do that. I've been working with Central State students for the past couple years on projects around town. We have community youth groups. We have Ohio State University Extension Master Gardeners programs. These are people who will lend their talents and skills, just volunteering, and we can do a lot with that.
So, Stephanie and Carmen, I think, I'm wondering, it sounds like there's agreement. And then, in the same way that we sort of took the bicycle safety out of the goals because it's
EC
in.
stuff.
Can the EC stuff come out too, and it
Yeah.
just goes into the priorities of EC?
Yep,
Okay. That,
I think it's already in there too.
everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
Cool. And just as a note, well, we talked about it at the retreat, but in the next, we talked about maybe in March or April, we would revisit, like, articulating the priorities for the commissions. So we can like sort of codify it when we do that. Okay.
That makes sense. Okay.
I will just bring up, you know, Molly Lundy's letter, you know, came right after I saw, just personally happened to walk by some of the things she described, and then Johnny right now brought up the downtown sidewalks. So I'm not exactly sure where it fits, but I do think Stephanie's point about, you know, improvement needs, maintenance of public spaces or downtown, like, there's a question for me of where that fits in. Just kind of these different voices merging at the same time about downtown. And I see the next section is downtown, but it's not really downtown vitality as much as it is infrastructure, and then downtown being this kind of in-between place of both a public space and private ownership.
I think what I'm hearing pretty clearly is this will be something that council is interested in as a priority of active transportation, that there's a component of, like, assuming that, you know, sidewalks are active transportation.
Okay.
And that's a core component of what Molly was referencing.
Okay, including the downtown, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then the interplay with revisiting the sidewalks, but
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Stephanie's goal about existing public spaces, I mean, it makes me think of the parks plan, which hasn't been updated since,
20 years.
yeah, it's like 20 or 30 years outdated. Yeah. So that's, I guess, just, I mean, that would take, you know, staff time, money to put against it, but there is also that
Also, just because it's not updated doesn't mean that much has changed, right?
Right.
So it could be that we revisit the parks plan and we're like, oh, this is not, not much has changed, and so there's not going to be much. I mean, it depends on what we want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, I looked at it and it's just like, okay, it's a parks plan, and it's a municipal parks plan for a small municipality, and that's what it is.
It's amazing how many parks we have, though, even just
It
in the
is.
village, yeah. It's a lot of
Yeah.
parks. Yep. Okay, I think that covers that. Feels good? Okay. Economic development and downtown vitality. So we've got 3 that were adopted in 2025. First being collaborate with YSDC and other partners to execute actions highlighting that YS is open for business. And I think probably context here when these were adopted as well, we weren't quite sure, with YSDC, what that role was going to look like, what the relationship was going to look like with the village and YSDC. So I think that has evolved since then.
But it's
But
still not
it's
super
still not
clear.
clear.
But this feels like, to me, this is in the ongoing. This was like more like a kind of PR thing. So I don't see any need to keep it personally. We're getting to the clarify rules. That one I think is the
Yeah.
YSCC related piece.
Yeah.
So we take it out?
Yep. Cool. Strengthen partnerships with local businesses and organizations to promote sustainable economic growth and address any business concerns that are in village staff purview.
I recommend taking it out, just for lack of clarity. If that's something we want to do, then.
And what business concerns are in village staff purview except for infrastructure stuff? That's chamber stuff. We're not going to tell people how to run their businesses. We can support, but I think that falls within chamber's purview, so I would agree with taking it out.
Does anybody want to argue for it? All right, take it out.
Okay?
And it doesn't mean we don't care about businesses or care. We're just trying to
No.
get clear on what we do.
What our lane is.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Okay, clarify role and responsibilities of YSDC vis-a-vis village economic development, including expectations for intergovernmental communication amongst taxing entities for the purpose of long-term planning.
Well, I'm still for this one because I think we don't have clarity on what our role is around economic development vis-a-vis the other, certainly at least YSDC. So I'm hoping that we can get, here's what we do, and then we'll know.
YSDC's their RCIC, right?
Yes.
We're not. So, they're quasi-governmental. I think that what we really need to focus on, if I can say this, is that we, expectations of intergovernmental communication amongst taxing entities, that came up with schools, obviously, and there was a big RETA discussion. So if we can kind of focus on, where YSDC's and villages stuff overlaps, because I don't think it does very much. If YSDC is going to function as a CIC, I don't think we have to be all entanglements. I don't know. So I get it, but I don't want to get too far in the weeds with this.
Yeah, it's also a big prioritization question for me.
Right.
How far do we go? But we made a pretty big play when we shifted to being the director of the YS, we shifted our staffing model around it, we hired around it, and we haven't talked about that. So I think it's, at a minimum, we should just get clear on what our lane is.
Sure. Yes. All right.
Okay.
I'll just say on the second part of it, it feels like it's a little lumped together, but the part around intergovernmental communication, where that came from is that when YSCC started, what you'll hear people talk about is that part of it was to require and create some interconnectedness so that things like levies, for example, would be talked about amongst one another.
Yes.
We're in this little moment right now where it feels like that's never going to be a problem again because pretty much all the major levies are passed for the next several years. But what I'm really hoping is that we can build the muscle, because it never happened at YSCC. And so that's why it's like, let's do
And
it
so,
while
yeah,
it's
and
not
so
an
that if
issue.
that's going to be a priority, we need to think about who's going to be building the muscle. What is it going to mean for us
Yeah.
and our workload, and what is it going to mean for staff and staff's workload? So we can revisit that, but we need to be
Yeah.
very certain about what exactly it is we want.
Yeah, we should do that in the outcomes, but I think it's as simple as that one meeting we already agreed to do a year.
Okay.
Where we just say it out loud and start to create a accountability to one another, that we don't want people to bring up levies without communicating about them.
Sure.
Because we're all drawn from the same tax.
Okay, so we'll leave that
Yeah.
and figure out
And
how to
then
make it
keep
more
good
concise.
outcomes. Yeah, totally. Everybody else good with that? Okay.
Okay. Additions for economic development and downtown vitality. So yeah, Angie, I think you were really just trying to clean that
Yeah.
up. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Coordinate with YSDC, YSCF, Chamber, SBDC, and regional partners to develop technical assistance pathways for entrepreneurs, including financing, navigation, permitting, education, and leasing readiness support. And this is Sinai.
Yeah, I think the next 1, 2, 3 all come from me. There's a little bit of a thought process that goes through each one of them, and it's basically like, how do we, economic vitality to me means, how are we creating the soil that is nurturing for economic vitality moving forward? How do we grow it on our own? There was a statement up there that said YS is open for business. That kind of made me shriek a little bit, like that idea of open for business versus growing our businesses and nurturing what we already have here. And I think we have a lot here. And I've seen very unique and very intentional pilot initiatives that have come up to support infrastructure. As it pertains to the one that we're talking about right now, the YSDC Community Foundation Chamber, there's a bunch more that could be. It kind of comes back into what is in our purview that we still have to define, right? But there are some metrics and some organizations that I think we need to start to connect with more. Again, is that with council? I'm not sure. But I think what this conversation has done is kind of crystallize that this is a murky area for us, and trying to understand whose responsibility it is and where we lie within it. So, this one's probably my least.
Can I make a proposal?
Yeah.
What about those things are kind of like we had with the communications plan? They were like kind of sub-goal, like things that we know we need to address?
Yeah.
That this kind of goes underneath that, clarify our role, and then this is,
That
I
makes a
think
lot of
this is
sense.
pretty clearly going to need to be like a work session.
Yeah.
Where we're going to need to have a longer conversation about economic development is the first step. And so rather than have those be elevated as goals, that they're like things that are some of the questions that we need to address when we figure out our role.
I'm okay with that, especially as it pertains to that first one. The second and the third one, though, are a little bit more direct, and I think they do need kind of their own space for breathing, especially when it comes to zoning and permitting. I think we have the influence and the power to support and encourage micro enterprises in this area, especially as it directly relates to the arts and the creator economy. I think we have that in droves here, and we have not tapped into it. And I think that we can get creative on that. And then that'll flow into the pop-up initiatives and pilot initiatives and pathways to permanent and local. That's farther up. But I would like to see a little bit more drilling down on the evaluating of the zoning, permitting, and temporary use policies.
Does anybody disagree with that? And this one feels like it's a planning commission, that the priority, that just like we're saying, hey, active transportation, work on X, that there's probably going to be a council direction for planning commission to look into this question?
So with pop-ups, markets, and micro enterprise, we have, I mean, if you're licensed by the state and you're a business, you can pop up if you can, I know it's more complicated in the food truck. Yeah, I don't, okay, so yeah, we should probably talk about it more. But is it a PC thing?
I would say that it is, because while you may think, hey, this seems like a good thing that will encourage this sort of business, you will so quickly run afoul of those
Yep.
people who are paying
Brick and
rent
mortars.
for brick and mortar
Yeah, true
to run
that.
their business.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
there are a lot
they'll
of
be okay.
moving pieces here,
They'll be
so
fine.
it's a good thing to punt it to planning commission so they can sort of wade through all of those particulars that, nothing simple is
Yeah,
really.
agreed. I think that makes sense. I do believe that we should have some vision behind it for the nuts and bolts, though. Especially so that we can iron out what we are encouraging and not. I'm also not necessarily, with respect to local businesses that have brick and mortars, what I'm thinking are not necessarily competing and conflicting businesses. It's mostly, hey, we do have people who come here, not just on the weekends, but who live here. There are so much more things that we can stand to gain by having more. So I think
So-
I would like to keep it, honestly.
I mean, what I'm hearing is that it's not even about evaluating zoning permit, it's encouraging or supporting pop-ups, markets, and micro enterprises, and the work is to figure out how do we do that.
Yes, and definitely in part of that. Planning Commission, I'm sure, with respect to, because I'm not on it, they have their own metrics and the rules and regulations, and they are in charge of, let's say, regulating zoning and permitting, right? I think this is more creating the pathway and then having them maybe execute, right? Or at least drill down with us. I can go more into it, but.
I would say, I think what I'd be more comfortable with would be like considering doing these things, because this piece around like the interplay with the brick, I just don't know that much about it. So I'm open to considering it, but I'm, and obviously if there's a majority, I'm just personally a little bit hesitant to be like, yes, we know we want to encourage this thing when we haven't talked about it more than just now and I haven't seen anything more than these words. But I'd be comfortable with the idea of consider, that would be a goal. Like consider, evaluate, just taking that and acknowledging that it's in an early phase, and then we got to figure out when to prioritize it like everything else. What about-
I don't know how we word that
Yeah.
in that case.
I mean,
Consider policies affecting pop-ups markets.
yeah, like that. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm basically saying I'm interested in doing this, affecting the and it may include the evaluating, but I just don't know enough yet. So could we talk about it some more? And that would be the considering. You following that?
But also, it sort of seems like
They come together.
all three of those bullet points seem to be things that should be a conversation with YSDC, the chamber, that are these even things that are going to help? Are they going to harm? Are they going to, those are the conversations to have with those entities. And then, once you're through that filter, determine whether is there anything in the zoning code that hinders or helps, because there may or may not be. There may be absolutely zero in the zoning code that affects them either way, and it's more a matter of will. But I would punt that all back to the coordination.
Then how do we,
For all of those
even if we
discussions.
were to get rid of zoning and permitting portion, I think one of the sticking points that right now is this YSDC Village Council relationship. And after only, 2 or 3 meetings that we've had, there are gaps that are very obvious, right? And I think there are set priorities with YSDC as it stands right now that not necessarily maybe aren't, that we don't control. And I think these are some of the things that, hey, what are the ones that we can actually control in our purview that YSDC cannot control?
So eliminating evaluate zoning permitting, just
Yeah.
for the sake of this argument, or just for the sake of this conversation and kind of shoring this up. And it sounds like we need to, I don't know if all of council needs to do this. I would be willing to do this, to have a meeting with the chamber, because all of these things, essentially will take place downtown among where the villages are, the village businesses already are. And I think the chamber could provide us with a lot of insight.
Yeah.
So, I agree. I think the reason that, the benefit of considering first is that we could give direction to, like to say, does the group, how do we want to meet with them? Like, what do we want to say? So there's sort of an interplay of who talks to who first
Right,
about what.
but it doesn't mean that we all have to sit down
Totally.
and talk to Philip,
Yeah.
But I'm interested in this because of other models, especially in Dayton, with community kitchens, and Fairborn has a model within the Old Roush's restaurant, and Springfield has a model in the arcade building.
Yeah.
I was a member of the one in Fairborn, so I'm really interested in it.
And those were initiatives that, in transparency, that came about during my tenure
Yeah.
with the state. So that 2019, 2021, we were able to, because we were part of a governmental agency, then supplement and go after grants on behalf of another entity like YSDC, right? And support them in that effort. But it was distinctly led by city, village, township leadership with the help of the entities around. So whatever the wordplay is, honestly, it's not, I don't want to get too caught up in it.
So then what about the consider policies affecting pop-ups, that one? And then the coordinate with the YSDC one, that we said would come under the economic development work session. And then all of it is going to need work plans and then figuring out who's going to do it. We have a whole next step, but
Yes.
does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are we keeping explore pilot initiatives and then language change on consider? Yep, and keeping both of those.
I understood it to be, we're
Yeah.
keeping the third one
Okay.
The
with
third
the,
one with the consider
Consider,
first.
okay.
and that would
Yes.
represent these 3 points
Yes.
I
and
see.
the future exploration.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Andy. Nice. All right. Let's see. Continue work with YSDC to attract businesses to the village.
So that specific thing has to do with programming that we started working on with YSDC. There was a script written, there was like a little movie that we worked on. Just basically the script was written about the history and growth of small businesses that became international businesses in Yellow Springs. So like where they started, how they grew, and how large they are now, just to give people who, people who have these kinds of businesses like to hear about success stories, whether they were, a long time ago or something that's still, still a successful, like multinational company like we have with Xylem now. So that's what that was. And that would be, I don't know, that was like basically a commercial that we were working on. So you can take that out.
So it'd be a subset of the
Yeah.
the economic development
Yeah.
strategy. Cool. So out
So
of the
take it out.
goals, but not lost.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. Review CRA and TIF policies and consider legislation if needed.
I think everybody knows this, right? We did the blanket CRA, and then we've done TIFs kind of one at a time. When we did the blanket CRA with the last council, there was some discussion about, I don't know if Carmen, you'd remember, I think all of y'all were engaged at that point, but there was like versions of the CRA that we first saw that had like additional scoring and things to like prioritize certain kinds of development. And in the interest of moving to finishing the CRA process for the major project last year, we didn't continue that. And so I was just throwing it out there as I'd like to get to more clarity with some of those goals in mind, but I'm not sure where y'all are at on appetite to open that up.
I'm down.
Yeah, I'm interested. I think the community has voiced interest in this as well.
So I need some clarification. It's revisiting CRA for the purposes of clarifying what it is, what we're going to include, how we apply them. How we apply it, because we got it, and we have to apply it fairly. So what, I guess I'm asking, education for the community, like all of those things, what do you got in mind?
The part that feels the most timely to me is that I think there are some things that we really want to see happen from like an economic development standpoint. So for example, the CBE, I think we want to see something happen. We haven't seen anything happen there differently than other places in the village.
Yes.
Right now we have this blanket thing that says, we'll be open to this everywhere, but there are things that we actually want more. And then when it comes to especially, and right now with the, commercial multi-family housing side, right now we're approaching everything equally. And I think some of the approaches that were suggested, but we didn't finalize, create more incentive for the things that I think there's a shared.
Yeah, I talked about individual homeowners. There are people who have apartments in town who could benefit from a CRA or having that, and it was like, no, we're not going to take that. We want to just not have it for everybody. So it's like we can revisit it if that's what it is.
So it sounds like there's some interest, and then it just becomes a question of how do we prioritize and what's the scale
And what's the scope? What are we looking at when we revisit it?
Yeah. I think that's going to need some more discussion. Like, we'd have to throw out, here are the questions on the table, because residential that's another
Whole nother
can of
thing.
worms.
Yes, it is.
But I think I'm hearing interest in doing it, but we got to do some work on
We gotta
spelling it out.
Yeah, how?
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Gavin, that final goal there was, we touched that, so that's
Yep.
good. Okay. Number 5, housing and affordability. So it looks like we've got 5 goals under here adopted from 2025. Determine and implement a housing strategy that encourages and sponsors the development of affordable housing in the village based on a council and staff agreed upon definition of affordable housing through incentives and policies.
I want to speak to that because that was mine, especially the based on council and staff agreed upon definition. We were in a really contentious position. And honestly, I wanted to be as neutral as possible so that we didn't get into the weeds, because the federal government has a definition of what affordable housing means on both sides. And the very, very, very simple, but also accurate, is without talking about AMIs, because Yellow Springs has a very high one. If you spend more than 30% on your housing, gross income on your housing at all, whether it's a mortgage, rent, lease, you are considered not living affordably. And so, I would like to take this and drill down on it and come back to council with a more concise definition that includes all of the stuff that low-income housing tax credit looks for, and all of those things, and bring it back. Because the council staff agreed thing was me trying to get out of conflict. If I'm going to be completely honest, I was like, okay, you know what? This is going to get really hairy, and nobody needs it, so I just said that. And now I feel like, I have the opportunity to actually be more concise. But I do want to leave that part in there.
And I'll speak to the first, because I think this was a amalgam of, I really want to have a housing strategy at some point.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. I was talking about the council staff agreed.
I remember. It was a fun time.
It was something. It was something on it. It was something.
Just for the sake of time, and also I'm really excited about this. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone, but in working on this part, I propose determine and implement a 2-year housing strategy. And that part of that would be what we're going to talk about in new business is what type of format, and then for that body to be determining priorities together. And so a lot of what is some of the adopted 2025 goals and then some of the below proposals from council members, I do think could fit into that without us getting into the weeds about it. So that's just kind of my preliminary pitch of there are so many great ideas here. And I think part of it is figuring out the right format of how to determine what we want to go after.
That sounds good to me, and it feels like it fits with what we've been doing. We're doing a plan, and then there's going to be a group that's going to work on the pieces. Does that sound right to others?
I would add, I mean, Gavin brought this up, and I think he's right on the money with it some time ago, to amend the definition of what is affordable housing in the zoning code, because that has immense ramifications. So I would somehow work that into this goal, that once that definition's achieved, that it is also amended in the zoning code.
Okay, so that could be in the housing strategy. That might be a thing we identify as the thing we want to do when we do the strategy. We need to update stuff and.
I just didn't want to lose
Cool.
sight of it.
Yeah.
'cause it's-
Okay.
Let me say, I also think a lot of the housing stuff, we're close to the bone study being done, but we're a long way away because we've literally not had the time to get them the rest of the documents. Actually, we're holding up the process now. But I think for us, we should have that updated plan before we even sit down to talk about things, so we know where we're starting from. There are some things that we still got to iron out with them that could cost a little bit of extra money, but there's a group of us that is actually working on it. So I think that we should get that final report and then digest it and then see where we go from there.
Is there a timeline on that?
Well, it's hoping to be done by March, but that has been pushed back because of the fact that we still got to get information to them. Some other people have asked for some other information, so we're trying to get all that together. So I'm hoping by probably mid-April that they would be done. What do you think? You think
That
it's
sounds,
doable?
yeah, and yeah, I think that sounds doable. And also, I would love to see a housing retreat.
Yeah.
I would love to see a housing retreat over another committee, I would love to see a housing retreat because I have so much compiled information over the last, a long time, that I'm actually working with Joanna Schultz-Herman on getting together in a digestible format to bring to council. There's so many exciting things happening that, there's this analysis paralysis stuff that I don't want to get into. We can make decisions. Things that work for other municipalities will work for us. Yes, we are special, but this is about housing. And we have so many, hundreds, literally hundreds of models. And out of 100, 80 could work for us. And maybe even if 20 did. But so I don't want to because this has been a thing for a really long time, and quite frankly, there are a lot of us who are tired of it being a thing. So we gotta. I would love a retreat. I would love a 6-hour housing retreat.
Cool. Great. So I think we were going to decide that later, but we could just talk about it for a minute now. I mean, it's the next thing on the agenda. Obviously, we would add the time, but is there any reason we can't just keep the flow of discourse going? So this was on the agenda later to follow up on the retreat conversation. This is the village retreat that happened whatever, a month or so ago, and we didn't land the plane on, the main discussion was around committee or commission, but it's more broadly about how are we approaching housing, and I think everyone shares the desire to not go around and around, but to have a plan and to work it. So I think I'm hearing Carmen say, I really want to do a retreat. At the end of the retreat, Judy suggested doing a housing retreat, and I saw some nodding, so I guess I'm game for that. I think that are there other people liking the idea of a housing retreat? It seems like the big question is just timing, where it's like, on the one hand, you don't want to say, oh, we're going to wait until after a thing and then have the deadline keep getting kicked back.
But if the Bowen,
On the other hand-
so we just kind of agreed that the Bowen would probably be done in April, early May, and we can just set a retreat for, I don't know, May, June?
I would like it sooner. Like, I think that's already, half of a year gone by. And I do think the information from Bowen is going to be invaluable, but I also don't think having that report necessitates having the conversation.
Okay.
And I think there's a way, I'm thinking out loud, but I
Yeah.
think there's a way to format the retreat so that it's productive and that we don't, and we say like, hey, we want to do this thing, but exactly how we do it, we're going to wait until we have the results
So if we
of the
had,
study.
for me, it's yesterday. For me, it's yesterday. Okay.
I think I think a 6 or 7 hour retreat is going to be so beneficial, and I think whoever is organizing that and facilitating that needs to take into consideration that we're about to get some fantastic new information, but we also, like you said, have a lot of examples and existing information to work with.
Okay, so I think I'm hearing everybody say, we like the idea of a retreat, and then it's 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, it's a long retreat, we've agreed. No, I mean, it's, just to be clear, this is like, we
gonna
can
have
totally
food and
work
stuff.
for 3 days and it would be okay.
We'll
I
have
was
food.
going to say 3 days.
Yeah, so we'll start with essentially a day, it sounds like. And I think what I'm gonna go on a limb here, I think what I'm hearing is Johnny and Angie and Carmen are already working on that? Like there is that, when you say there's a committee, there was
There's some of us that are,
discussions where
yeah.
y'all are already talking, right?
Yeah.
So can the two of y'all work together on putting together a retreat agenda and then work with, Judy can work with all of us to do scheduling, and then y'all can work together to bring a draft to the
Great,
council?
Yeah.
great.
Okay. I think we just answered the question that's after this one, but is there anything else anybody has about you were expecting to talk about later, so then we can just assume that's done? Okay, great. So then we can go back.
Okay. So it sounds to me like we're keeping this first one that was adopted, correct?
I think keeping the first one, but
Keeping it.
do you want to leave in the part about the based on council staff agreed upon, or just take that part out?
We can take that out.
So just kind of keep the first part.
Okay. Okay. Next one, establish clear policies and incentives for developers that align with village values, refer to existing state law.
I think this was mostly sort of theoretical. It was as we were talking about CRA and TIF and saying, let's use the tools available to us, which seems to me like an ongoing thing. So I think I would say take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take it out. Okay. Broaden decision-making by seeking external expertise and input on affordable housing options, consulting with professionals and experts outside the village to ensure a well-rounded and informed approach to policy and strategy development.
That was mine.
I think this was another like navigating the complex
Yeah.
moment and would get baked in under housing strategy. So we can take it out.
Yeah.
Continue strategic zoning improvements to support diverse housing options.
I think that's also going to fall under the have a housing strategy.
Advance the LIHTC project by securing funding, obtaining necessary approvals, and implementing the development plan contingent on grant award. This was, of course, before we found out that we did not receive it.
Great, easy.
Okay. All right, proposed additions. So yeah, Angie, you had clarified, you put in a time frame here, 2-year housing strategy.
I mean, we talked about these being 2-year goals.
Yep, yep. Okay. Is there anything under your sub-goals that you want to talk to?
No, that can be reviewed in the retreat or by the group later.
Okay.
Oh, wait, broaden decision-making by seeking external expertise and input, we
Yeah.
just took that out.
Yeah, all of this is taken out. It was just to be discussed at a further point.
Yep. Okay. Establish a tenants' rights committee/commission. Stephanie.
I mean, I don't know if everybody else feels that falls under that or not. But I think in some ways it, would be separate, whether I guess this is maybe getting ahead if we, form a housing commission. I just think it's something that should be separate, whether it's a committee or commission, that's why it says both.
So-
I'm not an expert on which it should be. But I do understand that committees put that necessarily on the village staff versus commission is more to us. It's not really something I'm trying to put on, staff, so.
So, I have something to offer for this. There was a moratorium on evictions during COVID, right? And there were a lot of NGOs in town that were working with people who were having, who had tenants' rights issues, who had questions about, whether to put their rent into an escrow account and all of those things. And we still have that expertise in the village. So that might be that might be a town hall thing. That might be reconnecting with those people who were doing it then.
And they're not doing that now, is that what you're saying?
It's fallen off because, people, they're not worried about losing their housing anymore because the moratorium was lifted. I'm not saying it completely fell off because there are still people in the village who do that. But I don't know if this is a village thing, because it's usually done in other municipalities, like, by NGOs, I think.
This is one of those where you'd have to commit to a fair amount of money to establish legal parameters
Yes.
and all of the other such things. And I mean, you have to decide whether or not that's where you want your money to go, because it would be a heavy lift. And I mean, there are places that tenants can be pointed, Able Law, and be like, here, call Able Law, because they will help you more than we could. As opposed to trying to have another village entity that needs a lot of background work before it gets going.
I guess I look at it more like a resource, not a whole entity
Gotcha.
necessarily.
We could put together a guide.
How would that work if we're landlords ourselves?
The same
Okay.
way.
So-
Tenants' rights are tenants' rights.
For me, this is a little bit like the one where we talked about like the pop-ups and stuff, where it's like I'm interested, but I don't know that much about it, and I'm wondering about. I like the idea of it going under the starting with the housing retreat and being like I guess what I'm hoping happens at the housing retreat is that a whole bunch of these ideas that have come up, including this one and some of the ones that were in your examples of things, and then some of the things that Carmen's brought up, that there'd be kind of a place to go. Here's the whole breadth of housing related things and some
Okay.
sort of making a case of here's the ones to prioritize, and then that we would see all of it and give some direction then to a group. So anyway, that just for what it's worth, I'm interested, but I would like to know more before agreeing to
Okay.
establish.
I was going to suggest that, yeah, Carmen and I, we take this page, and this would be a starting point for the retreat format and topics of consideration. We've kind of already done some extra homework of council members saying, these are topics regarding housing that we want to discuss. So I would just suggest we don't really need to go line by line through the rest of it. That is what our housing
Yeah,
retreat is going to
it seems like that's the momentum that we're going to, but I do want to like breathe life into what she's saying. I do understand that the tenants' rights perspective, we talked about it at length at the retreat, so I want to make sure that it's not kind of just lumped up. And I don't know where it stands within the housing versus maybe some, there's a fine line, like Judy was saying. This isn't like a human relations council, like in the city of Dayton, where they have like a housing authority.
They have a tenants' right, they have a tenants'
Yeah.
rights commission.
Yeah,
so
but
that-
it was all within the same office when I was at the HRC in Dayton, so
Okay.
if you went after, so that's what I'm saying, there's probably some level of, we're not there, but you want to still be the guiding light, be the spirit, and make sure that there's some sort of protection, so
And there's
I'd be
other-
very interested in this as well, yeah.
And there's other ways to
Yeah.
address tenants' concerns and issues that we're witnessing through other policies. So I would say, let's put the reality of tenants in Yellow Springs front and center as part of the housing retreat.
But in general, if we are going to have like this retreat, then I think we can probably, as Angie is saying, kind of go through the rest of this fairly quickly.
Okay. Remove? Are we removing Tenants' Rights Committee Commission?
We're going to talk
think-
about it at the
Talk
retreat.
about
I think
Yeah, I think we're just
there's a sort of a not formal motion on the table to say everything left
Everything in a form.
goes into the housing retreat. And that isn't going to be elevated to a goal yet because we don't.
Yeah,
We need to talk about it.
I think that makes sense.
Do we want the retreat to be a goal? Do we need to set that as a goal or leave it out? Leave it out? No? Okay.
We're going to do it.
Okay. All right. Then we can skip to our last one. And I know we're at 45 minutes, so should we chug ahead and keep going to finish?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's finish. We're almost done.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our last section.
Organizational leadership capacity and how we work. So 5 adopted from 2025, the first one being develop and run a thoughtful strategic planning process and complete a council and staff supported plan. We were looking to do that in 25, that did not happen.
I'm certainly hoping we're going to work on it. Is anybody thinking otherwise?
Can we do it 2 years? Is that is a strategic plan? Can it be for 2 years since these goals are for 2 years?
That would make sense.
I think the hope is I think the actual plan itself is going to have an arc longer than 2
Okay.
years. So it's just, this is going to be just a matter of timeline. Like,
Okay.
we could theoretically have a strategic plan done in the next 3 weeks, but there'd be no real depth of engagement. And so that just becomes a question of how much engagement and how much time. So it gets into the details that I assume
Okay.
we have to do a follow-up meeting about.
Yeah, and one of the biggest reasons it didn't take off in 2025 is because we knew that there was going to be a change of hands with the council, that we had an election coming up. So it didn't really make sense for us to start the strategic planning process when we knew that was going to happen.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it sounds like we want to keep that in. Okay. Complete a comprehensive wage study for all village positions using appropriate comparables. Use this information to prepare pay ranges for each position.
I'm not convinced that we need to do this. I don't remember exactly how it came up, but it was interrelated with the questions of our understanding our pay systems and everything. And so this was another one where I would need to be convinced that we would need to spend the money before I would say, let's put it in as a goal. That's just where I'm at personally, but what do y'all think?
I agree.
So I think what that means is you would agree to take it out?
Yes.
Anybody think differently? All right.
Okay. Create a clear process for council-managed staff evaluation and contract/pay, including check-ins during the year / between evaluations, including the solicitor.
What are you laughing about?
It's just us. You're just talking about us.
Oh, I think we did it, right?
Isn't that?
We're done. We
Yeah.
all have to agree to do what we did before, but we created a system and now we just do it. We still have to finish the solicitor one, but we already talked about that. I don't think it needs to be in the goals.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure there wasn't something wrong.
Let's see, achieve clarity regarding village staff salaries and benefits that impact council-managed decisions, pay rates, longevity, contracts, et cetera.
We have shared services. I mean, obviously, we have to participate with this in some capacity, but
I think that'll be cleared up in the handbook as well.
yeah, so let's take it out.
I have one below that tries to build all those things into one. So I would be game to take this one out, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't close the loop on a couple things.
Of course.
Okay.
Okay. Expand networking/relationship building, growing regional leadership role and opportunities.
Ongoing, not
Seems
needed?
like- Yeah.
Growing not needed, okay.
We can skip my proposals because I think we've already addressed all
Okay.
of them.
Okay. Let's see,
What's the noise?
improve council
belly
and
dancers.
staff coordination by clarifying project prioritization processes and communication expectations. Sonare.
I find that to be pretty ongoing in general. I think the next one, support professional development and organizational capacity that helps staff balance essential services with strategic initiatives. This was a cross between my own experience with professional development and what I've heard from staff in general about kind of capacity and balancing. And so this was kind of my go at that. I don't know if this is necessarily a strict, direct goal, but it is, I think, an overarching goal in general to make sure that we are providing the best professional development services and organizational structuring.
Oh, yeah, the door has to stay
Yeah.
open.
It feels like kind of
Yeah.
ongoing
Yeah.
for me.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's not static, it's
Both of
a
them?
moving thing.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
totally okay with
both of them? Okay.
Santa Claus coming to town?
But it sounds like there's a sleigh out
It's a
there.
Zills
Oh, okay.
from the belly dancers. Zills from the belly dancers.
that. Okay, awesome.
Nice. Okay.
They just
Kind
came
of calming.
through.
It's
Are
kind
we
of
about to have an intermission?
I'm trying to shimmy.
That'd be great.
Okay, so these next ones,
It's time for me to go home.
I put these in the memo, hopefully the context is provided, where I was trying to get to like some how do we work things. So I don't feel strongly about these. I was more like, there are some things that I would like for us to ideally do, but I don't feel that strongly about them being included in the goals. So the reduced workload is me basically saying, I think, and I look at goals as things that you can look at and ask yourself, are we making progress on this? And this feels like one of these things where we talk about it, and anything that we can do to reinforce it and say, are we making progress? That, to me, adds value. The say-to-do ratio is just an acknowledgement that I want us to get better at aligning our capacity and our goals. I don't think we've, as a council, and together as a staff and a council, reckoned with that, and I'm hoping that...
We just got here. I mean, not me, but
Yeah.
we.
Anyway, so
we.
Basically, if somebody wants them, make an argument, otherwise...
I say we keep it.
Okay. I mean, seriously.
I think it's got to stay.
No, because the whole communication piece, if you're aligning with the capacity staff have, the communication is far better because you're far less likely to be bullshitted as to what is actually occurring, because there's an actual ability to do the things that we're being asked to do. And BS, not entirely, but just, you've got so many plates in the air that some things may or may not be occurring. This helps those actually happen and get reported back so that everyone knows what's going on.
I think those
I
three
like
got
that
to
one a
stay.
lot.
Okay, I'm hearing Johnny likes some. Other people, anybody have any, I guess, does anybody want to take them out?
No, I think they're important because one of our values is to be a good employer.
So on goal, avoid significant misalignment on major projects. There needs to be some tightening up of that language because there's a way to do that. And so we need to avoid, okay, how do we avoid it?
Would that go back to the communication one?
Oh, yeah. Let's take that out because we're not going to do it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if we have this communication plan, you know, avoiding some, yeah, I don't know. So,
Oh, I thought I had outcomes. I was going to say answers it, but
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, no.
That one is the one that it's just naming. I'm just trying to be
Yeah.
transparent and say I think we've had a series of
Yes.
like tough things, and I
Because
kind of want us to
because of
just collectively say,
communication.
let's try not to do that.
Because we weren't communicating.
Yeah.
That's why.
Cool. So let's just assume it's under communication. Take that one out.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? You said you wanted all three. Are you okay with that one out?
I'm good with the last one going out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
because it's in communication.
Great.
Okay. So we're keeping the 2 and removing the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. And then, yeah, this last one, Gavin, was just, I think we've covered that. We'll be
Oh.
removing that one.
Well,
Oh, no,
I
sorry.
don't think so.
Yep.
Because of the outcome. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but just the context is that at the end, the last council, we were trying to. This is where we talked about the VIP earlier. So we're just trying to get to a place where we're toward automation and compliance. This is when I talked to the Shared Resources Center. I think this is where we ended. Where, this is, we started this payroll review process, trying to get clarity. Mainly it's so that when we get to the point of doing the salary process with the people that are here, that there was interrelated questions that came up about how do longevity and steps and interplay, and then how do we have the payroll systems to do it in an automated way?
Yeah.
And we're really close. We got some information from Shared Resource Center at the end of last year. It was right at the point where there's new council, and so I think there would be some benefit. And what Tiffany told me is that the legislating, the VLSA, and
It's actually FLSA.
FLSA. How about the V?
Right.
The FLSA and the overtime practices. There is just a little bit of like close up a loophole thing.
This seems more like a council president, HR staff thing
Actually,
than a or HR staff thing.
those
than
three
us.
things will be in, well, the last two will be in the personnel
All the
policy.
PPM. Okay.
Oh, okay.
We're clarifying that already.
So can we,
Yeah,
so
we're good.
the first
And
one.
the VIP is the same as the one we removed at the very beginning.
Okay.
So there's no sense in having
Okay.
those three.
So then,
But is it then would that? So you're saying the VIP will also be covered in the PPM?
The VIP is being covered by staff. It's a internal process that we've already changed.
And I would be fine with this. Could be a finance committee. Let's just
Correct.
check that we're clarifying that.
Okay.
That could be a priority. But then there should be a goal that's update the personnel policy manual, right?
It's coming.
That's happening.
We're hoping for the second work session in March.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would advocate for it being in here just because it's a little bit like the website where it's one of these things that we have been talking about the PPM for a couple years and
Yeah.
have never gotten maybe this close to the finish line of being told it's coming really, really soon. But I kind of like the idea of just saying, let's put it on there so that we acknowledge it's a priority and then let's knock it out really soon. But is anybody opposed to just leave it on there as a goal and then hopefully it's one we can check off quick?
Yes, I'm going to go with that.
Achieve clarity regarding village staff salaries, that part, or the PPM specifically?
Just the
Thing, or
PPM.
what?
Just the PPM, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Is that
so everything
okay?
else is gone except for the PPM, except for
Pass
3.
updated person.
Yeah,
Okay.
because VIP is going under
Yeah.
Finance Committee.
Okay.
FLSA and overtime is going under PPM.
Correct.
That's everything.
Hey.
We got through it all. Okay. So what I will do is, I'm just gonna go back through, basically, take all of this, redo the document, and then I shouldn't have any clarifying questions, but it'll come to you all in a resolution by the next meeting, and then we can go from there.
Thank you.
Are you sure it's going to come as a resolution? Because we got to do a housing retreat before we can do the final goals for affordable housing.
Let's just update them. We'll just
Okay.
have just the one that says, make a housing plan,
All
and
right,
then we'll
I'm with
update
you.
it afterwards.
Okay, good.
Works. Okay,
Just clarifying.
thank you.
Cool, thanks, Elise. Just to note, this is kind of related to future agenda, but it's closing this up. I think you can tell we have several items that are going to require some more detail.
Yes.
And so I think if it's a future agenda item to figure out how we get things moving forward. And some we've made pretty clear ideas on, and there are many that are going to require some more work. So just noting that on the next agenda, we're probably going to want to spend a little time talking about how do we move these things forward. The alternative would be to have some subset of us that would meet with staff to try to get things further along in between. But I kind of feel like let's just talk about it at the next meeting and figure out how we want to get more clarity. Is that where the group's at? Does that sound good?
You know where good ideas go to die?
Where?
Subcommittees.
Okay.
So, I mean, as long as we're checking in, then I don't think it needs to be like, you know, if you want to be the checking in person, then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to add work to our work, I guess, is a way that I'll say it.
Okay, but just to be clear, are you saying that you like the idea of, as a whole group, doing the next steps on taking some of these things where it's like, oh, we're going to need to figure out how to talk about that more, doing that collectively?
Right. I mean, some of the details, absolutely. But I don't know. I'm just concerned about how much energy it's going to require. You know what I mean?
But that is part of this process, because the next piece is we develop this goals document where this gets shrunk in and condensed intensely, but there are outcomes and then there are who's responsible.
Right.
And that's the who's responsible part
Is the most important part.
It's critical, but that's the kind of the conversation that you all have. I would suggest, and we're moving into future agenda, but I would take the council goals resolution off of March 2nd, move it up to March 16th, and maybe drop something in on March 2nd where you can just pinpoint those. We'll have that goals document ready,
Okay.
and then pinpoint what are the outcomes, who's responsible,
Okay.
if those still need to get dropped in, and then your final document.
And just take care of it at the meeting.
Yep.
The second. Okay.
That way we also know who's reporting back on progress.
So then for the second, there would need to be some kind of layer where it's like, y'all would share the first version of the goals, then council would be able to weigh in with, here are outcomes that you know you want. Hopefully, most of them have already been, many of the things became outcomes or got nested, and others of us already articulated those. And so then we would actually work through it together here to start clarifying outcomes and putting timelines and who's going to do stuff. And then that's where we're doing like the capacity check basically to see. I think that's where we did all these one by one, and then I think there's going to be a little moment where it's like, because that's kind of what happened last year. You see that, right? Yeah. We ended up with, there's several goals we didn't finish, and it's just because we didn't really ever do that.
Correct.
Awesome.
Reality check. Okay. Just making sure we're knowing where we're going. All right. So then we already did the new business. Housing Next Steps was part of we just did it. So now we're at boards and commissions. Are there any boards and commissions reports?
I just want to give a little bit of, because Stephanie asked about what was kind of in the works for the speaker series at least. So the 27th, we have Dr. Jane Calvert, and I explained who she was. That's going to be at the Senior Center. It's free and open to the public. So on the 27th, it starts at 7. And then on 4/10, we're going to have Jeremy Turner talking about the importance of the Little Miami River with regards to the Shawnee. And that is going to be at the Little Art tentatively 11, but I'll have more information at the end of next week to really kind of get that nailed down. And then on the 26th of June, Dr. Maria Hammock is going to be here. She is a historian and she is a teacher at, she's a professor at Ohio State. She's really interesting work on the other end of the Underground Railroad, which is southwest in the Mexico territory. So she's got a lot of interesting work that she's going to share with us on that. Also, she will be talking about Wilbur Siebert, who was a Columbus native who ended up teaching at at Ohio State, who did extensive research on the Underground Railroad as it ran in Ohio in different stations, and everybody knows that Yellow Springs was one, so she'll be talking about Yellow Springs in relation to the UGRR. And then on 7/31, Nikki Williams Sebastian will be talking about Black Patriots. And on 9/4, the West Virginia Mine Wars Museum will have someone here talking about labor migration and multiracial solidarity in the Ohio River Valley and the Ohio-West Virginia borderlands. So those are all coming. And there's going to be more information about all of them.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Thanks,
sounds
Carmen.
great, yeah.
Any questions for Carmen or any other board and commission reports?
I should probably state that the Miami Valley Regional Planning Committee had I had my first meeting, I should say, with them. It was interesting. It was definitely an eye-opening experience being in the room with, 30, 40 other regional leaders and entities from energy to water, townships. And it was interesting to see where Yellow Springs stood in those meetings as well. There's a lot. I might have been texting Johnny during the meeting. There's a lot of work and there's a lot of influence and there's a lot of factors that I can see why now that come into play. One of the conversations, not to answer it directly, but where we talk about data centers and that's a huge thing that's coming in the pipeline. But even more, I want to say hyper local to us, things such as the Institute for Living in Equitable Communities. Yellow Springs has always been on the forefront of it, and the expectation is that we will continue to be, and they look for us for guidance, whether it's from a steering committee perspective or just thought leadership. And so it's, let's just say the first meeting was not for the faint of heart, and it was also definitely very much this idea of where we belong, where we show up in the community and how we're going to position ourselves moving forward. Because there are grant opportunities, and there are some financial incentives that I think we can take advantage of, and hopefully put ourselves in line for.
Any around housing?
Nothing around housing at that first meeting. A lot of it was energy,
Infrastructure stuff.
and infrastructure.
Okay.
So now the Trishaw has shipped from Denmark.
And Trishaw conversation that I was not equipped to answer those questions. And it was already stated for the other committee, YSDC does have a town hall tomorrow. Carmen and I are the representatives of council, so feel free to attend.
I attended my first library commission meeting with Elise. Amazing community resource, and it seems like the village is on top of all the issues and questions that they have. So it's a pleasure to be there.
Great. Anything else? All right, future agenda items. So we just kind of added one on, it's the prioritization of projects. Is that what you meant by that? So it's like outcomes for goals and timeline and responsibility. There should be some time for that. It's going to take a little chunk. If everybody does good prep work of sending stuff, it'll be a lot easier. So maybe we'll think about what the timeline is to get stuff out, but we're probably going to need a little chunk of time for that. Rules and procedures comes back.
I want to make a
Yeah.
side note. Elise and I will be out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so that timeline has even shrank further. So just mentioning that again, it will be gone Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So literally, you'll have Monday and Tuesday. We got to have things ready for Judy before we leave, or Judy will become hunting us down. And it's in Columbus, Judy. We're not going to Sharonville, we're going to Columbus.
Quick.
Yeah.
So
Turn
if
around
if we get the goals version, I think we got a lot of clarity, so if we can get that out quick, then we can have Art give us a goal, a quick timeline.
Yep.
Great, thanks for the context. So then we'll do the kind of housekeeping things like we just did for PAC on this particular program. We're gonna do that on PAC more generally and EC more generally, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Then we're going to approve the goals because that's the top line stuff.
Well, I actually moved that to the 16th so that you can get the outcomes and who's responsible
Yep.
into that matrix, because the matrix is the,
Oh, you want the whole thing codified? Okay, okay.
well, it comes back as a resolution, and I don't want to be working on it while you're trying to pass it.
No, I was trying to keep it out like, give some room.
Over the right real quick.
Let's do it.
Over the right.
Envisioning that being part of regular session.
Rubbed
next
off.
meeting.
Which part?
The outcomes for the goals, who's responsible, timelines, like that discussion.
I think it's a regular session, because our work session, the following, we don't want to push it to the following, because that's when we're doing the PPM in the work session.
And already, you've already really done the heavy lift, so identifying who's responsible isn't, it's not a huge lift at this point. And that person can be responsible for providing a timeline. Doesn't have to happen within the goals. Resolution.
Okay, okay. Very cool with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it, Tori.
Game? Okay.
So then the 16th will be the work session on PPM?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so maybe we could just note that in the agendas that that's the work session
Keep something
piece.
like this
Yeah, I'm going
out.
to take out ordinance and put work session. Yep, we got it.
And then are these other things coming, the special reports, topic discussion? Maybe that was like a carryover from the beginning of the year. I kind of feel like that stuff should flow from the goals. So let's wait on that until after we've got our goals. So this gets into like the capacity, then the next step is timeline too. So prioritizing these things, like all the stuff we just talked about, when do we address it during the year? That's going to be its own whole thing. So are we doing quarterly financials?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then end of year report?
Yeah.
Those are both end-of-year reports. We're just a little late.
Okay. And so then it'll be end of year report and quarterly financials.
But we had to get server. The reason why we're late is we had to get server changed to be able to run the year-end report.
Okay. Anything else anybody's got?
We put April 6th for the ordinance for the PPM.
Did y'all catch that?
April 6th, ordinance or
Yeah.
PPM?
Okay, well, I think I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.